Like you never feel unsafe, right? Like no, for most normal people, I feel like they would just feel unsafe around prisoners. They'd be like, oh my God, these are prisoners. Like they're just normal people. And I think part of that, and this sounds silly, but part of that comes from me consistently playing basketball at public parks, because I don't know what people's backgrounds are. I don't know where they come from. There's a lot of homeless people that I ball with as well. And it's like, they're just normal dudes. You know, if you treat them as normal dudes, then it's fine. Oh, wow. I got a mention on ABC Australia. YouTuber and Twitch streamer Hasan, known as NOT HasanAbi, alongside actor and fellow streamer Caroline Kwan, have been able to speak to some of the hundreds of people fighting LA's fires as a part of their prison sentence. The US famously uses prisoners to respond to natural disasters and build roads, and the LA fires have drawn huge attention to nearly 1,000 strong incarcerated people deployed across the city. Nice. Actor Caroline Kwan. Very nice. Thank you, ABC Australia. Yeah, I posted the tiny head meme in there, and it's so funny that like everyone is posting it now. YouTuber. Small playlist for later. Thank you, Themasius. Okay, so first I want to start off with this Japanese coverage of the LA wildfires, which is the most kawaii thing I've ever seen. I don't know what's up with that.
大規模な火災の発生から3日目の朝。
Like why are they? That's crazy. I don't know if it's the channel color normally that is just making it. Why does it look like an Evian bottle? Is right.
ロサンゼルス北東の山のふもとの町です。住宅が軒並み焼け落ちてしまっています。
ヘルスケープ。
一部まだ火が残っているのも見て。
信じられません。心が追いつかない。焼け跡で目立つのは煙突ばかり。現地当局によりますと、消失するな。
I don't know what's happening here, but it's crazy. All right. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Okay, we're gonna recap what happened last night, obviously, and I'm gonna talk to you guys about the experiences that we had. One of them even made it to. Yeah, of course.
A lot of the guys out here who are fighting.
You're standing right here.
I just want to say hello to my daughter out there. I haven't seen her about 11 years, and yeah, I love you, baby, and hopefully I'll be out soon. And yeah, I miss you a lot. And hey, be good out there and get your mom right, okay? Love you.
That's right. He's doing the Lord's work. He's protecting people in California right now, every day.
Doing my best.
What's your name?
My name is Salvador. I'm out of Tulare County, and I miss everybody.
Yeah. So I wanna give you guys a brief explainer of what this is. Okay. First and foremost, there are a couple players here that I need to shout out. Okay. Number one is Scott Budnick. So Scott Budnick, who you saw on the broadcast last night, is a Hollywood producer. He made The Hangover. He made Project X. He made Old School. And he basically explained it in his own words, but he is a criminal justice reformer. Okay. He's a big rehabilitation guy. And part of that, I think, comes from his own personal experiences. I feel like when you meet some of these people that are absolutely at the bottom rung of society, just like forgotten people that have been cast aside, okay? People that are consistently demonized. At least in my experience, these are some of the kindest individuals, okay? These are some of the most thoughtful, some of the most kindest individuals you'll ever meet. You can tell Hasan thinks he's tough. What? So these are some of the best people. I swear. Like it's just, and it fills my heart with joy that, you know, any moment that I have working with these guys, talking to them, having a normal conversation. It's really funny seeing you cuss more than you have all of January so far. Oh yeah. I dropped the whole knot. Are you saying poor people, peasants? No, I'm just going to ban people like this, I think, instead of responding to them. So, no, I'm talking about homeless people. I'm talking about prisoners. I'm talking about people who are actively demonized by everyone that just like Society is basically left behind. Okay. People that are oftentimes treated as pariahs. And these are just normal people, right? They're normal people that don't have the same support system that we are all privileged and fortunate enough to have. They're normal people who had a sequence of fuck-ups, okay, back to back to back, and just kind of fell through the cracks of the system. And I think like what these guys need is someone to put their faith in them. They need a helping hand. And that's I don't know. That's just I'm going to try to do more stuff like this. All right. Human beings who have faced adversity after adversity in a system that was already set up to not help them. Yeah. Like, what do you think is the most common? What do you think is the most common part of everyone's backgrounds here? Is they come from incredible poverty. Okay. That's it. They come from incredible poverty. They have no support. They have no support system. They have nothing to keep them busy. Okay. That's it. That's the difference between these guys and like even someone like myself. Like I've fucked up when I was growing up, you know? We all have. And I know that if I did not come from an affluent background, like there is no difference between me and those guys. I probably could have kept stringing along those until it erupted in this grand explosive, like one final big one that got me permanently landed in prison. I never committed a felony. I don't think you understand. Okay. No one is just like, I love committing felonies. No one is born into this planet and their starting position goes, I'm going to do as many felonies as I possibly can. That is the entire point of this conversation. The point is, it starts small. Okay. It starts small. You don't have a good family structure. You don't have a good support system. You don't have a good network. And the people around you are like, yeah, this is the only game in town. You're bored. You don't have any after school programs that you can attend, that you can participate with, your community with. And then you just string along failure after failure after failure after failure until you're doing more crimes, right? It's never, a lot of people think that the way this works is you just one day decide to go pick up a gun and do a crime. Or you're in the vicinity of someone else doing a crime and then you're accidentally in jail. And there are, you know, there are some people who do get caught up in this dragnet. Now I know fools that could have done that other thing other than rolling with cholos. Sick, man. Take a week off, okay? Sick, bro. Okay. I hate this rugged survivorship bias nonsense. Okay. That guy is going to permanently hate me now. 42-month subscriber who literally is like, nah, you don't understand. Well, you know, I also come from a bad background and I didn't do felonies. Why do so many people do that? Why do so many people have this attitude where they're like, how do they not realize it? It's just survivor bias. That's all you're demonstrating here. Okay. I'm glad that you didn't, you know, I'm glad that you didn't fall on this shitty path. I'm explaining something entirely different. Okay. I'm sorry that they bullied you in high school. And now some of these dudes that bullied you in high school are in jail. All right. Like maybe keep that to yourself. My brother-in-law had every chance to do well, joined the military and messed up his back, got discharged being a long haul trucker, ended up trying to unalive himself and ended up dealing and is now in jail in another state waiting for a trial to start. I mean, I can point just, you know, off of what you just described, I can point to like 3 different things where very clearly he got destroyed by the system. Not everybody gets the same hand is my point. There is a lot of probability here. Probability plays a major role in people's outcomes. Okay? It's rarely ever about personal choices. Having said that, however, are there people who are just constant fuck-ups? Absolutely. And there are constant fuck-ups in your immediate life as well. Like I'm sure you know someone that you no longer are friends with, that you no longer keep contact with, who is just a straight up constant fuck up. Okay. He just gets in his own way. He can't help himself. Guess what? That guy's not in prison though. Okay. But there are people like that. Okay. You just have to keep focusing on people who do want a helping hand, people who may not even recognize that they need a helping hand, and just unconditionally offer them that help. Every single person has infinite potential. It's up to us to try to maximize that, okay? In any case, I just always ask people to have a little bit more empathy, you know? Regardless, I saw a lot of stuff. I saw a lot of stuff last night. I saw a lot of things that reaffirmed my commitment. I saw a lot of things that I think proved me right once again. The very fact that, you know, like you never feel unsafe, right? Like for most normal people, I feel like they would just feel unsafe around prisoners. They'd be like, oh my God, these are prisoners. Like, they're just normal people. And I think part of that, and this sounds silly, but part of that comes from me consistently playing basketball at public parks, because I don't know what people's backgrounds are. I don't know where they come from. There's a lot of homeless people that I ball with as well. And it's like, they're just normal dudes. You know, if you treat them as normal dudes, then it's fine. But if you don't do that, and if you have no experience with that sort of thing, you develop this sense that these guys are evil, and they're there because they're just like truly evil people. And the reason why they've done crimes is not because of socioeconomic indicators and factors and a lack of support system and no opportunities whatsoever in their lives, but it's because they're evil people. And the media, I think, reaffirms this narrative over and over again, consistently. And that's how we arrive at so many people who just have these incredibly draconian attitudes, these opinions about what must be done with these scumbags. Like they need to be cast aside. They need to be treated as pariahs. My dad is a felon. He made a mistake, all just to make ends meet for us. He's the sweetest person I know. That's what I'm saying. I think the system is designed to basically churn out like a lower caste of people. And keep them consistently within the carceral structure so that they can use them for free labor or almost free labor. That's what I think. The Shawshank Redemption scene rehabilitated. Oh yeah, so many people love this movie but don't understand. They fail to see the parallels. Yeah, but what is this big drama? Okay. A song lyric that I really love. We are only all 2 or 3 bad decisions away from becoming the people we fear and pity. Also, so much of the stuff that I talk about on a daily basis is warning you that the system is designed in a way where you could be, or your next of kin can be in these dire conditions. What do you think happens when the housing market becomes inaccessible, unaffordable, and you no longer can retain permanent shelter, you know? So I want to give you a little bit of a background on this pilot program. So Scott Budnick is the man, as you guys met yesterday. As a criminal justice reformer and advocate, he does fantastic work. And he works with these guys. A lot of them sang his praises. A lot of the dudes we talked to. And I mean, he's a great guy. Basically, he really pushed for a pilot program, just so you understand, okay? The pilot, we talk mostly to the dudes with the red hats. The dudes in the red hats are a part of a pilot program. It's a new program. It started in August 2023. And the program is for violent youth offenders. So previously, if you had a violent felony offense, you were ineligible for this firefighting program. But Scott pushed for the California state by petitioning Governor Gavin Newsom to expand the existing California wildfire incarcerated firefighter program so that even violent offenders that committed crimes under the age of 25 before their prefrontal cortex developed could actually participate in this program as well. What kind of violent offending? You know, kidnapping, gun charges, things of that nature. Great clip from yesterday about
decision before our brain was able to develop, before the age of 25, you know? So, I mean, this is our second chance, and this is our second chance to prove it. And, you know, at this point, it's a blessing, you know? It's not more about the material. but the growth that we gain from this experience.
I think it's important too to talk about how there are obstacles though after you are released, where you have this training, right? You have this experience. You deserve to have this as a career, but you know, it's still really difficult even with legislation that's been passed to work at expunging records and make it easier to get hired in this career. Like, it is still
the reintegration process is
as a woman, I have to say that scares me to death. Yeah, guess what? There's a woman right here, and if you ask her, she didn't feel uncomfortable at all. She was surrounded by violent youth offenders, and maybe it's because of her extensive experience being in Hollywood nightlife, where she was surrounded by infinitely scarier individuals who should be in prison, that she did not feel, she stated to me that they did not make her feel uncomfortable at all, that she didn't feel uncomfortable around these guys at all.
It's a little tricky, you know, and I believe it depends and it varies on the individual, you know, because circumstances are subject to change. But at the end of the day, I believe if you want to change and you want to get out there, it's...
How long you guys got, if you don't mind me asking? I got
4 months, I'm out.
You got a year and a half left?
4 months, I'm out. 4 months, I'm out.
Okay.
I reside in the San Fernando Valley.
December? Okay, all right.
2020.
Also, for the record, none of them have sex offenses. They have other violent youth they're violent youth offenders, but not they're ineligible for this program. So the types of crimes that render you ineligible for this program initially were violent offenses, if I'm not mistaken, unless there's like some way to demonstrate good behavior over an extended period of time. And also on top of that, to this day, there are 3 things that render you ineligible to work to apply to be a part of the CAL FIRE training structure as an incarcerated firefighter. And that is sex offenses. If you're a sex offender, rapist, you can't do that. And also if you have a proclivity for escaping. I believe that's another. I said 3, but those are the 2 I can remember right now. Oh, and arson. Sorry. Third one is arson. Duh, obviously. Yeah. If you have an arson offense, if you have a sex offense, or if you have a tendency to escape. Yeah. Maras next to me, he says, you also have to be in a low-level prison as well. So, like, a lot of these guys, originally, they might start. Hasan, do you think it's correct to acknowledge people who are automatically afraid of prisoners have a superiority complex, or, like, what would you call it? And do you think it's immoral to assume that incarcerated folks are dangerous people? I wouldn't say it's immoral. I think everyone is a victim of their own social conditioning. And if society is constantly telling you that, like, prisoners are all rabid serial killers, it's understandable that people operate with those assumptions. I would say it's misguided more than anything else. What if you want to right the wrongs of your arson offenses? Come on, chatter. Like, I get why. Really? Maras says that it's a common crime among firefighters that go to jail as arsonists. Because I am a rape victim, and he said violent offenders, if you were a woman, your mind would go there too. Okay, well, they're not. Can we please stop having a conversation surrounding your own personal feelings? We're doing, systemic analysis of how people's material conditions end up putting them in these circumstances. You want to say some stuff? All right, I'm muted. All right, what are you going to say, big dog?
All right, I don't know how much you've talked about like this topic before I got here, but I mean, talking to these guys, it's like 2 very common themes that kept coming up as part of this program was dignity and service, right? Incarceration, imprisonment's a very undignified position, and conditions can be very tough, and they have to go through a certain level of criteria to be eligible for this. And then they have to maintain a high level of good standing to be able to stay in these programs. And talking to the small group of people that we talked to, like, their attitudes were incredibly positive. I was not expecting this level of positivity. It was they're getting to be in conditions that are way more dignified, and they're getting to give back and, you know, service the communities that, not directly the communities that they've hurt, but that they've done. And
yeah.
So, and some of the, you know, they talk about wages a lot, at least you guys do, but a part of that wages also helps the retribution payments. So, you know, it's overall, I can only say positive things about like the attitude of the people that we talked to yesterday.
Yeah, those are the common the common things that I heard as well in all of our conversations. I think number one is the camp conditions. I asked a lot of the old prisoners, which I found out that we were not even supposed to be talking to, by the way. We were only supposed to be talking to the Red Hats, but I didn't realize that that was the case. But some of the older dudes I talked to openly stated that they would rather do double the amount of time in camp, because the way that this prison structure works is like you have some of the worst prisons in the state, and then depending on if you can survive without actually getting into additional trouble in some of these worst prisons, you can inevitably move to a lower level prison, okay, inside of the state. And ultimately, the camp structure that they have is basically the closest I have ever seen to like almost a Norwegian style prison system. Okay? Like you have regular prison, you got county jails, and then you have the fire camp. Once you volunteer to be a part of this, you can have your sentence reduced, which is again a massive deal for these guys. That's one of the biggest reasons why they do it. Okay. And then on top of that, they also get, I mean, a little bit of pay, which is, that's like the lowest, I would say.
So the thing they mentioned with pay was that they haven't increased that. They haven't passed a bill to increase that since like 1984 or something.
Yeah.
I think that also kind of speaks to why it's at the level it is. And like, it also kind of makes sense for why
they were,
it hasn't
until
been
recently,
raised.
they were getting paid $5 a day. Now it's up to 24, and they want to, like, Scott is pushing gruesome Governor Gavin Newsom to once again, increase the pay. Because we talk about like the coercive elements of being in prison, right? And volunteering for any position whatsoever when you're in prison. You're not doing that because you want to make a living, you want to make a wage. You're usually doing that because you're technically in chains by the state, and this has a likelihood to lower the time that you serve. That's not a normal level of coercion that exists under, regular wage slavery and capitalism. Okay, it's something beyond that. So I think making it basically bringing up those wages to a standard that is humane would turn this into a much more ethical structure overall. But having said that, the program, even with the way that it's currently designed, has a lot of good things in it. Okay. Now, the reason why I say that is because one thing that I don't even think they personally recognize, even though some of the prisoners we talked to openly mention this, is that when they're in camp, because when they're done fighting, they fight fires for 24 hours. They're out in the field. They sleep out there. They're constantly opening up trenches, right? They're trying to manage the vegetation. It's the most difficult part of wildfire fighting, as far as I understand, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
It's like a tremendous backbreaking labor. You are constantly hiking up and down these windy conditions.
If the ground is flat, they'll just have a bulldozer do it, right?
Yeah.
These guys are going up to the terrain that is otherwise inaccessible. I mean, and it's not just the inmate firefighter program. Like, that's just what this type of firefighting is.
Yeah. They're all hot shots. They have to cut a 6-foot wide path within, which is a 3-foot scrape that digs up the dirt.
Yes. Well, I don't know about the exact numbers, but yes, that's the idea.
So it's a very difficult task. It's a very dangerous task. You're breathing in a lot of these like fumes and whatnot. And the equipment that they have is the exact same equipment that Cal Fire wildfire fighters get as well, which is substandard in general, from what I understand. I mean, it could probably be a little bit better.
I can't comment on that.
But overall, it's a very, very difficult. It's a very difficult job. Like, they talked about one of the treks that they had to do called the rocket ship, because it's a vertical climb where you have to literally climb up. Where they literally have to climb up a vertical climb with ropes, right? Why'd you say falls? So, you're risking injury, you're going up these mountains, and you're putting your life at risk when you're doing this, right? But I think one of the most significant aspects of their experience is that once they are in this structure, once they've been allowed to get this training, they go to a place called fire camp. And hopefully, if we have the opportunity, I want to shine a light on that as well and go to one of these fire camps, living conditions there as well. But the fire camps, as far as I understand from the interviews that I conducted, is different than prison. So when they're done doing their 24-hour on, 24-hour off cycle, and the wildfire is contained, they don't go back to prison. They go back to fire camp, which is still prison, but it's not the same kind of prison, right? And the conditions at fire camp are nowhere near as substandard as like regular prison is, okay? One of the things that they brought up about fire camp, for example, is that they have weights at fire camp. They don't have actual weights in regular prison. I didn't know that. Apparently, since like the 90s, one of the prisoners said Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger actually removed the weights, but apparently it was removed beforehand, like before he became governor. And yeah, they don't have weights on the yard in prison. They use prison band. I mean, not prison bands, like resistance bands and stuff like that, which is kind of crazy to think. But like something as small as that is massively consequential. These guys can play on their PlayStation 4s, right? They have PlayStation 4s that they can play video games on. They can have like some connection to the outside world, some semblance of humanity. And I think that's very consequential. Not only do you get your time reduced, okay? Not only do you get your time reduced, which is massive.
If we get in trouble, yes.
But you also end up feeling like a human being, basically. And I think that absolutely plays a major role in reintegration, okay? So this is basically looking at the theory and applying it into the real world and learning that, there's a reason why there's so much empirical evidence that suggests that rehabilitation and retraining and reintegration initiatives like this one are actually massively successful in lowering the likelihood that someone actually reoffends. Because the conditions that these guys are experiencing in camp, which is still prison, is significantly better than prison. That positive incentivization structure paired up with the fact that you're getting your sentence reduced actually causes you to really work hard to not fuck this up, okay? Even if you have a tendency to fuck it up, when you don't want to go back to prison, that's it. Like, you want to stay at camp. Some of these minor things that you would never even have to think about are massive for these guys. The fact that their family members can bring them food, okay? Like, that's huge. The fact that they have PlayStation 4s where they can play video games. The fact that they have regular weights as opposed to in prison where they don't have regular weights. This is huge. So let's hear what this guy has.
Okay. And the camp is like much nicer than prison.
Yeah, there's little to no tension. The racial disputes is not a thing there. Your family gets to...
Yeah, they also said the COs that are nice make their way to the camps.
I don't think it was particularly that they were nice. It's the more seasoned, like,
more
COs.
seasoned. It's
a more
COs.
coveted position within the Department of Correction and Rehabilitation.
Like, it's a higher, it's a sought after position within the Department of Corrections.
I mean, that makes sense. It's a more peaceful environment.
Yeah, but that's it. It's a more peaceful environment because it's a successful rehabilitative structure. It's a successful rehabilitative structure because it's focusing not on like deterrence measures and dehumanizing the people there and treating them like shit and putting them in horrible conditions. And that's the reason why every single person that's involved in the program is, you know, a lot nicer overall, including the COs, the correction officers. That's it. That was also interesting. Like I maybe shouldn't have even prodded that too much as far as like, what do you think about the cops? Are they like some assholes or whatever? Like how they treat you. Because I also personally thought it was interesting that the cops normally, you know, I've met COs before, and I would say that beat cops on the street are definitely the beat cops that you're usually around on the street give off a worse aura than the COs do, at least these COs. And they were very forthcoming with this. Like they straight up were like, listen, these are, even the corrections officers, like there are some assholes, there's some power tripping assholes in general, but like in terms of like the experience at camp, like most of the COs, they get it, they understand it.
Bring food to you from the street.
That's it. You feel like a human.
Yeah, you got real weights there.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, they got fake weights in prison?
No, they got
no weights.
They don't have weights in prison?
No, Arnold Schwarzenegger took him out.
He took him out?
It's kind of funny that Arnold's the one who took him out.
Cal Fire refused to give the inmate crew access to the showers. What the guy said, he said he would get kicked out of camp for saying it, if I recall correctly. Well, they did. They gave him they showered after we were done.
Yeah.
Why did you do that?
I don't know.
He didn't want nobody else to be brolic like him.
I heard that's what it was.
Yeah, he got jealous.
That's what I heard. What it was. I don't know how true it is.
Was it Kali Muscle that got jacked in prison? I think that's what it is.
I heard of something like that though.
Yeah, he got jealous. Fucking Arnold.
Yeah.
When he was the governor.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Hopefully they come back. You know, they've been giving us like resistant bands.
Anyway, that's like, you're right. I've known a lot of COs, and I would say most are decent people, even if they're hogs. Yeah. I almost died when you say, like, what else are you going to do? What else you guys do if you didn't have a PS4? Crimes? Lol. No, I was joking. I said, what are you going to do if you get access to the internet? Crimes?
Well, one of the guys was super into crypto.
Yeah. But it was eye-opening, but they need proper pay, healthcare protection, and being a frontline and transitioning into society. No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, those are the guys who are going to get their rug pulled, by the way. They're not going to be doing the rug pulling.
I feel foreign with you guys because I feel like I'm part of the prison. That's who I was. That's what they indoctrinated me to be.
Yeah.
That's what they wanted me to be. So, like, now they want you to get out here and then go to a fire camp and then act like if you're a firefighter when we do get, like, minimum training, right? So how is it that you do that? How can I become a better civilian, a citizen? Coming from prison to this, like maybe you guys know something about that. Like, that's my biggest question. How do I?
I've only been in jail.
You know what I mean? Like, it was not. Okay, what's normal to you
overnight.
guys? What's normal to you guys?
Are you asking like personally how
Right.
you make that transition?
Right.
I mean,
He asked a serious question and I made jokes. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
No,
It's
no,
a
job.
job.
It's a job. It's
I
my job.
think
It's my
what's
job.
key is having support, right?
Right.
So that that transition is easier. I mean,
Right.
you're right. When you spend so long
Right.
in prison and you either are on the path to being institutionalized or you're
Right.
there, it is hard to transition out, and there is such a lack of
What is this that you sent me?
It's a satellite image, like a high resolution satellite image of the Pacific Palisades. You can see like most neighborhoods are gone.
Why didn't you say the crash dummy spot again? What? Okay. Seeing these guys want to come up and talk to you and ask you questions, talk to the cameras, everything. Yeah, well, you have to remember, like, these guys don't get a lot of access to the outside world. You know what I mean? Like, this is something that they consistently brought up. It was like camp conditions being significantly better than prison conditions overall was majorly beneficial. Okay. The fact that they get like work, the fact that they get time reduced was also majorly beneficial. But then they kept repeating that, like, they kept repeating that they were shocked that we were even interested to talk to them. They were like, why do you want to talk to us? That's what they kept saying over and over again. Why do you want to talk to us? Why do you care? Like, what the fuck? And I think it's because, you know, most people treat these guys like an afterthought, or if they think about them at all, they think of them as like evil beings that deserve the horrible conditions that they experience on a regular basis. I noticed that many of them seem to be pretty apprehensive at first until you started talking about being pro-labor and call the American prison system dog shit, etc. No, they weren't apprehensive at first. I think people are just like socially a little bit insecure, especially when there's a camera there. But no, I was with Scott, so they love Scott for understandable reasons. So as someone who works with CDCR, I hope Hasan knows this interaction and ones like it are so morally lifting for these inmates. Yeah, so that's the other thing I was gonna say, is that like the fact that, you know, people write to them, people send them like cupcakes, people send them like baked goods, people send them food when they're out fighting these wildfires. Like, they feel like human beings. They feel like human beings. They have dignity for once. Okay, and that's what it is. Like, it's just, anyone got that clip of the one guy with a ponytail cooking Haas for being autistic? Oh my God, he did. He cooked my ass. In and out, giving our incarcerated firefighter Scott and some of the guys you talk to. Yeah, there's Scott again. Hey. It's just crazy because like most of those dudes that we talked to were younger than me. Even the adult, adult offenders in the program, like they were still younger than me. You know, they knew Kai Cenat. I hope he sees that. Yeah, one of them knew Kai Cenat. That was funny. What is this video you found, chatter? Goddamn. It's kind of funny. But yeah, they get education in there too. They get a lot of sociology. Apparently they can get a degree in sociology, which I think is awesome. Younger than you and already 10 years in. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. Seeing them chop it up between groups, just like any workplace, just some guys doing good despite everything trying to shove them down. Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to highlight as far as the incarcerated firefighters is, hold on, let me find this real quick. That Scott actively pushed for. Yeah, they offered me their tacos, which was crazy. It's like, come on, dude. I'm gonna tear up. You're gonna make me cry. This is the Youth Offender Camp Pilot Program, okay? In August 2023, CDCR launched an innovative Youth Offender Program Camp Pilot Program at Grolersburg Conservation Camp, okay, in Georgetown. The program is designed to expand opportunities to volunteers to serve their time at the conservation camp and encourage self-improvement and rehabilitation. In addition to educational and rehabilitative programming, camp participants receive wildland firefighter training, enhancing their opportunities for future firefighting careers. The program provides additional hand crew members for emergency response to fires, floods, and other disasters in the state. The initial 17 participants arrived at Grolersburg Conservation Camp in November 2023 after completing training at the Sierra Conservation Center. Now, what's important about this is that a lot of the dudes with the red hats that we talked to, they are youth offenders, which means that they did crimes under the age of 25. Okay? They committed crimes under the age of 25, but the program actually expands, unlike the normal structure, it actually expands to violent offenses as well. So if you were if you committed like assault, battery, you have a weapons charge, kidnapping, things of that regard. And also, kidnapping doesn't mean like kidnapping in the way that you understand it. Okay, just so that's a term for if you steal a car and there's someone in the car, it's considered kidnapping. Just so you understand. Okay, not like Taken style kidnapping. So all of that stuff is under the banner of violent offenses. These are pretty significant crimes. Okay, it could be a custody dispute as well. So the thing is, despite the nature of these crimes, these guys, you met them, you saw them. Okay, I didn't want to like spend too much time on what they had done because I didn't want to. Like, I talked to them off camera beforehand. As far as like what they had done. I didn't want to talk to them on camera about what they had done because I feel like it's unproductive. But yeah, like they openly revealed some of the stuff that they were locked up for, and yeah, it's some pretty significant stuff. But it's important for you to understand, like, in spite of what they had done, like they were just chill as hell. They were just normal ass dudes. Right? And that is because they're actively working against being institutionalized. They're actively working against being a permanent part of the carceral state. Okay? And the reason why they have this ability to get out of this structure is because they've been given this opportunity for this training program. They've been given this opportunity to basically work and even work to reduce their sentences. And they don't want to mess it up. They don't want to mess it up. and go back to regular prison and lose their shot at reducing their sentences. So that's what it is. Camp POP program expands access to camp programs and provides participants access to rehabilitative programs and job skills. The goal is to encourage offenders 25 years old and younger to commit to positive change and self-improvement with the goal of being law-abiding members of society upon release. This is one of the, this is one of the closest things, as far as like the conversations that I had, this is one of the closest things I've seen, shockingly enough, within the California state prison structure that is as close as you can get to a rehabilitative system. Okay? It's genuinely shocking. And I will admit that in spite of my initial assessment saying this is slavery, 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 like, I would not want this program to go away. Do you understand? Like, I would much rather expand this program. I would much rather ensure that this program also offers reintegration after you're done, if you want to work in this field, because some of the guys I talked to didn't want to continue doing firefighting. They literally were like, yo, this stuff is like, this is dangerous. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this shit, you know? And that is a part of the element, I would say, of coercion to a certain degree, right? And I think this program could be expanded to other fields as well. But the issue is it cannot be used to displace the current civilian, non-carcerated population. And that is the problem here. And the only way to fix that is by offering not substandard pay, but having some semblance of pay parity. Okay? That's it. Because if you actually turn this into a regular program where there is pay parity, okay, where you're getting paid decent wages, then all of a sudden it's no longer extra coercive. And that is something that I think the state could also use, in my assessment. While this is a good program overall, I think the low pay in general, I think, basically creates this unique two-tier labor structure, once again, where the state can benefit from firing firefighters that are getting, regular firefighting pay, especially wildfire firefighters in general already have really low wages. They're some of the lowest paid federal government employees, for the record. And it's not supposed to be displacing the civilian population, the civilian firefighters. It shouldn't be used as a way to devalue the wages that exist in this sector. Do you understand? I think you should apologize to chatter earlier. See prior chat. The insensitive messaging doesn't help the mission. They were chill, very human and deserving second chance, but it's also very fair for the chatter to feel nervous and scared around them. Okay, you get a week off. Dude, imagine we're having, again, larger conversation about the carceral structure, and you just chose to chime in to be like, no, it's actually okay to immediately assume that these guys are rapists and it's totally fine to be afraid of them, while I'm directly talking about these guys might have committed, some of these guys committed violent crimes, okay? They committed violent crimes. And it doesn't matter. It's not the entirety of their personhood. It's not everything. They should not be reduced to a sequence of awful things that they've done that have led them, that have led them into going into prison. Okay. And you're like, no, you don't understand. I'm going to reduce them to that. And I'm going to be fearful. It's normal to be fearful. Shut up. How can you not see that this quite literally undermines the point that I'm making? The point that I'm trying to make here is the exact opposite of what you are trying to draw the conversation back into. And I don't care. God damn, Americans are so fucking selfish. It's so incredibly frustrating to have any conversation like this, especially as it pertains to sexual violence. What a crazy situation. How many rapists you know actually get incarcerated? What are you talking about? It's like one of the least punished, most commonplace crimes of all time. You are more likely to get raped by a fucking coworker or a boss or a family member than some random dude in prison. What the fuck? Shut up. I can't stand some of you motherfuckers, man. Jesus Christ. Yeah, you have to pay a lot of fees when out of prison as well. So that's the other thing. That's the reason why there's more. I think that's more of a reason to actually elevate their pay as well. It's so crazy because like even in a supposedly quote unquote progressive community, people still somehow find a way to use emancipatory language to center themselves in this conversation and then aggressive and actively defend using academic emancipatory language, aggressively defend their self-centered attitude. It's a reactionary take. Anyway, what was the page? Like, imagine being like, oh, dude, I know you're actively trying to, in a nation where prisoners are treated like evil, dehumanized serial killers, every single one, and you're actively trying to combat that narrative by showcasing the humanity of these people that have been left behind by our systems. But you should apologize to the one chatter who wanted to bring the conversation back to that exact point. You can get that anywhere you want. Okay? Go watch, I don't know, MSNBC or something. I promise you, they will have a very different approach. Please, Jesus Christ. You get that everywhere else. Why do you want to get it here too? I can't do anything different. It's very frustrating. And then we wonder why America has the largest prison population on the planet. It's crazy. You're identifying an internal, consistent contradiction within the abolitionist framework. It's something we struggle with constantly. Reforms that do genuinely improve material conditions of the incarcerated also serve to lengthen the lifespan of the institution of prison. It's something people grapple with, and I'm glad this convo is happening out in the open. What is this? I went to prison around 15 years ago for a burglar one, which is a Class A felony. I was in dope and desperate to get high, so I stole shit. One of the people I was with stole a gun safe, which makes it a Class A violent crime. I never even interacted with the people at that house. Did my time and have been crime and drug free since. Married homeowner with a career. Nice, dude. Vast Stampede. Are you a Trigun fan too? Or is that like randomly? W chatter. Proud of you. I think the problem you posed, the question of whether we would be safe with these prisoners at a time when you were alone on screen, surrounded by 10 men. A lot of people would never feel safe in that situation. That's all they could think of when you said that. I don't care, dude. Please. The point is, it's incorrect to feel that way automatically. That's my issue. Okay? Like, dude, there are 1,000 inmates at that camp. There are 6 corrections officers at that camp. Do you understand? 6. 1,000 inmates, 6 corrections officers that I could count. Do you think that if these guys wanted to be like violent, it's the 6 corrections officers that are stopping them? Or do you think that it's because they don't want to mess this up? That they've gotten a new lease on life in their assessment. And also because inmates are not like ontologically evil individuals who just want to do serial killing and crimes across the board. And the only thing stopping them is the corrections officers and the fact that there are cameras there. The problem with this kind of attitude is that if you have this opinion, if you operate like this, then you do not want these guys to ever be out. That's the problem. And I think it's understandable to have this position if you've never encountered it. But in a situation where you're encountering them where they're at and recognizing their humanity, if you're still resistant to that, that blows my mind. I'm like shocked. Okay. Like, how can you look at these guys and be like, no, they need to, they're scared. They need to be perma incarcerated. Like, I don't care. It's fearful. I'm fearful. No, look, I will say one thing about Gavin Newsom. And this is something that I've defended of Gavin Newsom against my uncle Shaky Gurga as well. His approach to rehabilitation has been pretty solid. Like, California is a devastating carceral state. Don't ask me about the housing market. Don't ask me about his approach to homelessness and combating homelessness. That stuff is awful. But the very fact that the Republicans came after him so aggressively for releasing 85,000 prisoners, like, these are the guys he's talking about. Do you understand? I think it's time to watch this again. I don't want to watch this one again. And yeah, for me, it's not even about like, it's not even about like me being fearful or whatever. Of course I don't, because I'm a big dude and I can handle myself. But like, not that I even thought that would be a situation. There would be a situation like that. But like Caroline is also surrounded and she's a woman. And the fact that she didn't feel uncomfortable is important for people to recognize. It's not the way you think it is. That's what I'm trying to explain. And there are still chatters in here who are just actively under the assumption that like, no, these guys are just like waiting for any moment to do a crime. It's so frustrating. And that once you've done a crime and you've gone to prison for the crime, that you're automatically always thinking about new crimes that you want to do. And it's not about what do you call it? You know, having something to grab onto once you're out of prison. If that's the attitude that you have, he will never be on board with any sort of reintegration initiatives. Like you'll always further the stigma against people that have done crimes, and you won't want to hire them. You'll push them further and further away from normal civilized society. You will be a hurdle in front of them actively becoming better people and productive members of society. That's it. In a system that is designed to destroy you outside of the carceral structure, as an average citizen, okay? When you have societal pressures that you have to deal with on a daily basis, a bad job, a shitty boss, inconsistencies in terms of how much money you have in your bank account at the end of the month, not knowing if your rent is going to go up, okay, once your rental agreement is over. All of these forces literally put you so close, much closer than you think, in the throes of the carceral state, okay? Hasan couldn't deal with the steam off my piss. Don't act hard. Hell yeah, brother. You are the hardest. Hard body. Been on this platform since 2013. When I think about how hard that is, this guy is like, the attitude here is like, that's right, baby. You wouldn't last a second in the COD lobbies that I was in Modern Warfare 2, baby. Xbox. Yeah, I'm hard body, dude. I'm a cool guy. Yeah, I shit my pants when I think about going to a big city, because every single person is probably trying to do violent crimes to me, but also I'm hard body, you know? One thing that the incarcerated youth we work with often thank us for treating them like normal human beings and not threats. Yeah, that's the major thing. That's crazy that there's such a major incentive. It's FYI, certain actors and other chats are going back to this violent criminals talking point continuously. The stun lock, keep that in mind. Yeah. No matter how progressive you think you are, certain people are just too American and jail pilled. I agree. Exact same thing with homeless people. Exactly. That's the issue. Anyway, Complex wrote this article. Hasan Piker interviews inmate firefighters in Los Angeles. Popular Twitch streamer Hasan Piker has been interviewing incarcerated firefighters who are working to get wildfires in Los Angeles under control. Piker hopped on X to explain why he's speaking with firefighters on Twitch. I try to use my platform this way because there are lots of normal people out there who fell through the cracks of the system with no support whatsoever. We cast them aside and choose to dehumanize them. Everyone is trying their best. Rehabilitation and reintegration lowers recidivism. Several of Piker's interviews have made it to X and gone viral. In one of them, he speaks with one prisoner about whether it's better fighting these fires than being in prison. It's way better because if I was in prison yard, I'm seeing guys get stabbed, get beat up. The cops shoot us like shit, but here we get better treatment. They talk to us like humans. We got a job. We're underpaid, but we have a job. And then the community shows us all kinds of love. We never received that growing up.
Will you like it?
Yeah.
All right.
It's dangerous work. It's dangerous work.
Kimbo's the man, by the way.
Will you like it?
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's almost like a respite from being? Is it better than being in prison or no?
It's way better because I was in a prison yard. I'm seeing guys get stabbed, get jumped, get beat up. The cops treat us like shit. But here, we get better treatment, right? They talk to us like humans. They talk to us like humans. We got a job. We're underpaid, but we got a job.
Yeah.
You feel me? And then the community comes out and shows us all kinds of love. We never received that growing up. We never received that kind of love, that kind of recognition for anything we've done. So now, doing this kind of stuff and all this love coming, that's life-changing for a lot of guys, because that's all they be needing is a little.
It didn't look like you were checked for weapons by the COs before you got close to the inmates. That speak volumes about how safe they perceive things to be in that situation. Like you said, these are just normal people. Exactly. That's a great point. That's a great point. No checks for contraband, no checks for weapons whatsoever. Now, you might think that that's a crazy thing to notice, but absolutely. You think you can have normal interactions with prisoners in America without having that level of security? No, this is a collaborative effort between the COs and the prisoners, okay? That's it.
A little bit of recognition with this, it's life-changing, and we get opportunities at careers.
How long was your sentence? You know what I mean?
17 years.
17 years?
Yep.
God damn. They're going to shave it off.
Yep.
They're going to shave it off.
They're going to shave it off. They're shaving some off.
They better shave it off.
But you feel me?
Crazy how you try to do a good thing and it still gets clip chimped to make you look bad and failing. You also did pop a Zin in front of them. Yeah, I wanted to actually give him Zin too, but I didn't want to put. I didn't want to get Scott in trouble, and I didn't want to ask either. In another interview, Parker listened as the inmate explained the experience of being in the world after being in prison for so long. I've only did it for 12, 13 years, but the point is that I'm about to go home next month. The man said, "You go from a cell to this right here, and it's culture shocking. It does help you because you get to start mingling with the public like you guys, the civilians." He continued, "I feel foreign with you guys because I feel like I'm part of prison. That's who I was. That's what they want me to be." This was that combo.
Institutionalized, right? Institutionalized. Have you heard that word before? Institutionalized, like
institutionalized. Yeah.
So now I've only did it for like 12 years, 13 years. But the point is, I'm about to go home next month. So you go from the cell to this right here. It's like it's culture shocking. So now I guess like the fire camp, bringing back light to the fire camp, right? It does help you because now you start mingling with the public, with you guys, the civilians, right? Which is, I feel foreign with you guys because I feel like I'm part of the prison. That's who I was. That's what they indoctrinated me to be.
Yeah.
That's what they wanted me to be. So like now they want you to get out here and then go to a fire camp and then act like if you're a firefighter. And we do get like minimum training, right? So how is it that you do that? How can I become a better civilian, a citizen, coming from prison to this? Like maybe you guys know something about that.
It's really sad. He needs the help of a counselor, but he thought his best chance of getting that kind of help was asking you guys. Yeah. I've learned that most of the stuff against you was just bad faith. I saw a post saying they were mad at you for saying you were frustrated about how they were treated as expendable. They were mad because you haven't been to prison, so you can't relate. But dude, that's just called empathy. Wait, people scoured through 3 hours of footage of me interviewing prisoners that are fighting wildfires to find something that makes me look bad. I'm sorry, dude. You should be in prison. Actually, fuck prison. You should be lobotomized, dude. It is a sickness. Like, actually a sickness. These guys work so goddamn hard, dude. Holy moly. It blows my mind. Like, how do you fucking sit around and just actively work? Do you feel good? Does that give you happiness? There's no way that gives you happiness. In another conversation, Piker wanted to get the opinion of one inmate firefighters about the fact that they are private firefighters making up to $7,000 a day. Wow, that's crazy. It's a big pill to swallow to the prisoner. But the return that we get is our second chance at life, you know? This is a pilot program. A lot of us made our decisions before 25. This is our second chance. At this point, it's a blessing.
$1 a day to do basically what you guys are doing. Wow. And think about that.
You know, and it's crazy. You know, it's a big pill to swallow. But in this case, the return that we get is our second chance at life. You know, this is a pilot program. You know, a lot of us made decisions before our brain was able to develop, before the age of 25. You know, so I mean, this is our second chance, and this is our second chance to prove it. And you know, at this point, it's a blessing. You know, it's not more about the material, but the growth that we gain from this experience.
The inmates are fighting fires through the Conservation Fire Camp Program, jointly operated by the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection and the Los Angeles County Fire Department. There are 35 fire camps in 25 counties in the state of California where inmates can volunteer and receive classroom and field training. Hey, chat, fellow institutionalized person, how easily we are dehumanized is insane. I committed a victimless crime, speeding, turned, resisting arrest without violence, but turned into assault a police officer thanks to tests of lying. But I'm looked at the same as the worst criminals. The dehumanization is the worst. I may be subhuman by some people's standards, but at least I still have my humanity. Yes, that's the point. And the reality is, like, there are plenty of people. Like, the thing that Scott mentioned, at the end there, New York Times put an article saying these guys make $10.24 a day max. No, I think they now make $24 a day in California, at least. But the thing that Scott mentioned was really good. Like, he brought up his own personal experience, right? He brought up his own personal experience when he went to a prison creative writing program, and he met this guy, this kid who had a 300-year sentence. 300-year sentence. This kid, at the age of 15, got hit with a 300-year sentence. And that's because he was standing next to his friend who shot someone. Okay? 14, not even 15, sorry. He's in one of the worst prisons in the state. And the point he brought up was that if my kid was in that same situation, it's over. He's out on bail. And he doesn't see a single moment inside of a cell because Scott has money. That's the difference. And there are so many people like that. There are so many people that just like are that are in the wrong place at the wrong time, maybe have prior, okay? when you're 14, it's probably unlikely that you have priors. But Hasan gets invited to camp to do prison cribs and cook some food. Oh yeah, this was sick.
To initiatives that, you know, initiatives that are helpful with reintegration, initiatives that are helpful with like hiring, you know, former inmates. You know,
for sure.
Trying my best.
And we appreciate you for that. We got to get you to our camp, Groundsburg.
I'm down. Yeah,
I'll talk cribs. We're coming soon.
No, I would love to do that for sure.
Soon.
I'll talk to Scott. If we can make something like that happen, that would be great.
Oh yes, let's do it. Come check out my bunk. We'll make you a little spread. Eat real quick.
Yeah.
I went to an expensive private school, and kids in my class crashed cars, had drug problems, etc. But they're all doctors and run banks now. Exactly.
Well, we'll go on Twitch, you know.
No, there's like
Twitch cribs. There we go.
There's actually a thing like there's a thing on TikTok with like prison food, where they show like different things that people make in prison. So we could do something like that, like a little cooking segment.
You gotta make it though. You gotta make it.
I'll make it. Yeah.
We'll tell you how to do it. You do it.
The only thing I know how to make is chicken. That's all I know how to make. So I don't know.
We're gonna do something with that.
Yeah.
We're gonna do something.
What do you guys make? What do you guys cook? You cook your own open-minded.
How are you so much taller than these guys? Bro, I'm 6'4". Yeah. Some of the younger guys talked about what landed them in the prison system.
I would say kind of touch on the same thing, no guidance, just not having a positive guidance. The environment that I grew up in, of course, it led me into a different direction. And yeah.
So first off, obviously there's no excuses for what I'm saying, right? I hold myself accountable for what I've done, right? But
I'm not the commissioner board.
Right?
No,
so
I feel you.
My circumstances, like my mental health, as in my insecurities, I didn't have no one like I could talk to. The schools I was in, they didn't really teach me how to like behave and like correct behavior. They were like favoritism towards different races and ethnicity, and I think that like social groups. So like I couldn't really like fit in with nobody. So I had to branch out to different people, and like that's what made me commit my crimes and find different people that had the same values as me, which is violence.
Okay.
Some of our greatest revolutionary organizations, like the Black Panthers, identified how people like this are the motor for revolutionary change. People in here chirp about revolution, but it's these people that have the practical skills for OPSEC, dealing with the law and other things. These folks have more revolutionary potential than any leftist that would turn their nose up to them. Yeah, I think it was also important to notice that important to recognize that like another big fear that they had.
Swap it out.
Another big fear that they had was reintegration, like the fear that they have of like getting back out into the real world and not having, you know, not being able to cut it. Because the reality of the matter is, it's not like the tools are abundant, okay, for what you can do when you go out. And especially if your records are not expunged and if they carry over into civilian life, you are going to be limited in the job opportunities that you do get. So that's another thing that Scott's working on as well, is to ensure that these guys' records get expunged so they can get their EMT certifications. And also on top of that, be able to continue working within the CAL FIRE structure or even work inside of the municipalities now that they have experience on the job. And it's crazy that like there are, you know, millions of people in the United States of America that are facing this reality, and even that freedom is an additional pressure for them. I don't know. Like, think about that. On the one hand, freedom is the only thing you look forward to, but on the other hand, even that is a massive, massive point of pressure for you. Is expunging the records of something that happens for everyone? No, these guys, even violent offenders, because they're youth offenders, can have their records expunged. An extremely common and disheartening theme with everyone you interviewed is that if proper support structures and mental health resources were readily available, many of these men wouldn't even be there to begin with. We need to do better. Yeah. But that's why I'm so aggro against Uncle Shaky Gurga. Okay.
How about that?
That's why I'm so aggro about Uncle Shaky Gurga and the way that he talks about this situation. These are the types of people who get their sentences reduced, and they've already served for the 85,000 people that Gavin Newsom released onto the streets or whatever. Many of them have served a ginormous amount of their sentence already. Many of them have served the majority of their sentences. And they obviously still have to go through the parole board structure and demonstrate their capacity that they will not reoffend. And it's crazy that it's crazy that people still are just like, nah, They should stay in prison permanently. We shouldn't be releasing prisoners. It's like, it's so frustrating, dude.
How about that? And then swap it out.
So again, Xavier and Angel for those who
you don't want to eat on camera?
Huh? Nah. I gotta go wait.
There's hella ladies watching. They're gonna be judging. They're gonna be judging the way you're eating.
No, don't even worry. He eats on stream, and you cannot be worse.
Fucking with you. Yeah.
So how you guys doing?
We're blessed. We're blessed. Taking it all in. We just came down from the mountain yesterday. We were assigned to the Eaton Fire. Our division, was meeting up with other crews, doing some hand line. The dozer only goes so far. Our job is really to kind of get in the cracks and crevices. We're
really curious what type of things fall under violent for these guys. Everything that you can think of, with the exception of sexual assault or arson-related charges.
The dozer can go, and when we get
more of the OGs talking about the programs. Some of the older firefighters that have been in the program for a few years talking about how they've been treated by the police.
Like, why?
What? It's all bad faith, man. I'm sorry I ever fell for any of it, bro. What do you mean? I don't know if it's manslaughter, but maybe. We saw this live. Why are you self-reacting? Okay, take a week off. Is there JPay or something? Yes, there is. And you can also send video games to the camps as well. Would you ever run for public office? No. Oh, here is also the ARC anti-recidivism.
They're on the fire line. Give right now that they're on the fire line.
Yeah.
There's not so much to give right now, right? They're fairly good right now. It's when they get back to camp, right? There's not a TV that's working in some places, right? Yeah. There's the boots are all fucked up and they need better boots. Like there's just things that are not so sexy, but that they need. You never think this, but we're getting a shower truck dropped off.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. By the way, God bless the dudes at Coachella.
Dude.
They got a shower truck coming in. These guys haven't showered in like 4 days.
I know.
So just stuff like that. And then I think also when they get out, if they want to work for CAL FIRE, as soon as they get out, how are they going to pay rent to wherever they're getting hired? How are they going to pay utilities? What about a car to get to and from work? Right? Those who are give right now that they're on the fire line.
Yeah.
There's not so much to give right now, right? They're fairly good.
With this entire program being only allowed as a larger labor force, do you think that moving into pay parity would dissolve such a program, or is CAL FIRE being a governmental agency would allow such a structure? I don't know, but I hope that they don't do that. Are you aware of any programs like this for women offenders? I don't know. Not sure about this guy, Hasan. What? Not sure about the guy who is literally spending his own hard-earned dollars and time every single day to work with some of the most fucked over people in American society in a system that doodly mofo. Okay. The guy that runs the program, they have camps. They have a camp for women as well. Yeah. Look, the last thing I want to say is that I am so grateful and so fortunate that I have a platform of this size comprised of incredibly thoughtful individuals such as yourselves, and maybe even the haters, that I can use opportunities like this to shine a light on some of the most forgotten people, insist to them, humanize them, and hopefully get others to see the situation differently. Because I fear that, unfortunately, every single outlet out there on a daily basis actively undermines these people's humanity, okay? And it causes a lot of people to forget that these are just normal human beings, okay? Yeah, they fucked up. They've done stuff, okay? Some of them have done bad things. But at the end of the day, these are just, these are people who should have a second opportunity, a new lease on life. They're just human beings, okay? And I hope that people can see that and not refuse to recognize their humanity for things that they've done.
This is Lieutenant Hasan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I can't say nothing.
How do we send these guys video games? There's a lot of people watching right now.
How do we send these guys video games?
Yeah.
Video games are a challenge because I can't give them access to the internet without it being supervised.
Yeah, no, I meant like hard copies.
You donate them to the camp, so you send it to the address of the camp.
and you state that you wish to donate it for camp, and then
hell yeah. Does it have to be like a maturity level restricted?
Yes, it has to be maturity level restricted, and it can't have an online component to it.
Yeah. Okay. There's a lot of good single player games. They have PS4s, right?
Yes.
All right. Get to work, chat.
Also, shout out to this lieutenant. Even if you weren't supposed to talk to these guys, you didn't give a single shit. No, I don't think they. It's not a problem. It's not a big deal at all. Did you interact with Mr. Gavin Newsom, gruesome Governor Gavin Newsom? No, I did not. I didn't interact with Nick Cannon. I didn't interact with Governor Gavin Newsom. I didn't do any of that. But yeah, this tweet that I retweeted as well from D Machine has the information about Washington Ridge Conservation Camp 44, the phone number and the address. If you want to donate PS4 games for these guys, please remember PS4 only, single player, no online requirement, ideally PG-13. No, you can send rated M games. It's fine. They play Mortal Kombat and stuff. Why was Nick Cannon there? Because he knows Scott. I think like he knows Scott brings a lot of people like this, and they they come and show love. Also, I'm glad that Nick Cannon showed up because those guys don't know who I am, but they know who Nick Cannon is. They were so excited to see Nick Cannon. It was awesome. No, you can send whatever games, dude. Yeah, and also Peso, not Peso Pluma, a different Peso, a rapper. Yeah, one of the guys knew who Kai Cenat was. One of the guys asked me about Ninja. They knew who Soluminati was as well. The most heartbreaking thing, but also wholesome thing, is the constant question of why do you even care? Yeah, they should have phones in prison. They do. I didn't know this either, but this used to be a major problem with the. This used to be a major problem with the prison structure. Is like it's really important for people who are incarcerated to be able to have access to their family members and the outside world. And that structure was so awful in the past, and it still is in many other states, where you pay incredible amounts of money to even make these phone calls, and then the people that are receiving those phone calls are also getting the people that are receiving those phone calls also have to pay as well. It's a really, really costly endeavor. They have mobiles, but I'm glad you didn't say it on camera in front of the COs. Wait, what? No, not everyone. That's contraband. But in any case, for a lot of these guys, they have free phone calls now. Like phone calls for these dudes are now free. I pay $1 for 10 minutes to speak to my brother in Utah. Some are calling them worse than looters. I mean, these are the real looters, but once again, nobody will ever consider it. This is illegal, by the way. What they're doing is illegal, but you'll never hear that from mainstream media. Okay,
it doesn't have any sort of.
Were there any women inmate fighters? No, I didn't see them at that camp. They're probably separated though, but apparently there are. A furnished Bel Air home went on Zillow today for $29,500 a month. A few months ago, it was asking for $15,900. I called up the agent. She said she told her client to relist the home after this week's LA fires. People are desperate, she said. You can probably get good money. I asked why the rent had risen so much. The agent said she was getting another call and hung up. The listing was later removed. Here's my LA story on massive rent hikes people who've lost their homes are now seeing in their search for new housing. See? Look. It's not price gouging. It's simply supply and demand playing out. There's significant less supply and demand skyrocketed overnight. No, that is price gouging. You can say that about toilet paper too. What are you talking about? That's literally, it's price gouging. That is actually what it is. These home values or rents will be the new norm for years. This isn't gouging. The market was reset overnight. I don't understand how you have this mentality where you're like, nah, dude, that's not price gouging. That's just like normal market conditions. Okay. So it's always normal market conditions. Don't you think that one can make the argument? Don't you think that one can make that argument for everything, whether it be water in the aftermath of a hurricane, whether it be, toiletry, supply such as that in the aftermath of a hurricane? That's what it is. Then price gouging is meaningless? No. People will care about some people stealing their burned down TV or someone forcing them to spend $14K more per month. Yeah, that's the problem. They're hyper-focused. Their hyper-focus and their attention being directed to a person who they suspect is going to steal their television from their house that didn't burn down, hypothetically, is the real way that they forget that these are the real price gougers. Some of them are calling them worse than looters. Some landlords are raising rents after Palisades fire. Here are two listings that went up. One listing was lowered days ago, only to be raised by 3,550 this weekend. The other reverse course, perhaps because of the anti-gouging laws. And by the way, this is illegal. Okay? This is illegal. Straight up. You cannot supply demand your way out of this. This is absolutely illegal. Just so you understand. And the prosecutor, the new district attorney that sat in front of his sister's burned down house should have been talking about how he's going to deal with these looters. Okay, here. Price gouging refers to sellers trying to take unfair advantage of consumers during an emergency or disaster by greatly increasing the price for essential consumer goods and services. Yes, in certain circumstances, California's anti-price gouging statute, Penal Code Section 396, prohibits raising the price of many consumer goods and services by more than 10% after an emergency has been declared. For items and services a seller only started offering after an emergency is declared, the seller may not charge more than 50% greater than what it costs the seller to provide the item or service. Local laws may also contain their own prohibitions on price gouging, which is crazy because even that is so expansive, and these guys still go above that. Evet. Peki. You going to the gym today? What? I already worked out. Normal market conditions, though, guys. Come on. But yeah, this went viral. Interviewing.
Let's talk. Yo, those are. Does the state give you those?
Yeah, we get them brand new.
Those are kind of drippy, dude.
Just a little bit. Yeah. You know, so you look fly on the mountain. Something nice.
Yeah. Do you get to keep it? Do you get to keep the hats?
Yeah.
Oh, you get to bring it back?
Well, everything, they give us everything. Everything's kind of state issue when you get there. They kind of prepare you for the fires. So that way when you get out there, do what you gotta do.
I'm saying, like, when you go back, do you get to keep them?
I don't think so.
It's crazy.
It's considered an antique.
I don't think he wants to keep that either.
I'm not gonna, I'm gonna copy shoes.
You're like, hey.
No, but I did see some jackets there. They're pretty sweet.
All right, bro, chill. We're not gonna take their clothes off their back, bro. They're fucking fighting wildfires out there.
Look, we'll give it to you, man. We'll give it to you. It's a donation.
All right. So, how are you guys feeling? Tacos good?
We're blessed.
Yeah?
I haven't even tried them yet.
So, again, Xavier and Angel.
This is the elevated content you want to do in 2025. This was great. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep doing more of this. Just, you know, with prior consent, try to put a face to a lot of these people that are oftentimes actively dehumanized by mainstream resources in general. Like, I think it's important to do that, and I think it's important to show that, hoping that people will see their humanity in this process. Yeah, they wanted to share their food with me. It was crazy. But yeah, we got an ABC Australia notice. So that's cool. But yeah, just to specify for those of you who don't know, I talk about how I don't do journalism, but this is one of the instances where this is journalism. This is new information. This is no different than what like media outlets would do as well. So this is new, and I will continue doing more. Also, HasanAbi Productions had an incredibly viral Twitter thread, which is crazy. Yeah, shouts out to Caroline Kwan as well. No, the media would also report their crimes. My favorite comment on this, funny how Hasan shows respect to these convicted felons, but can't extend that to our President Trump. Yeah. Why don't the local Dems cover these programs as the W that they are? Because there's a lot of resentment towards treating incarcerated people as human beings. Here, let's see how the media covered it, though. I'm sure there's a little bit of coverage on it.
There are thousands of professional firefighters as well as volunteers battling the fires, but you might not know that there are also nearly 1,000 inmates, prisoners of the California correction system, also out there on the front lines. The Forestry and Fire Recruitment Program works to assist those who were released from being incarcerated transition into a professional career in forestry and wildland firefighting. Royal Ramey is the co-founder and chief of this program. Royal, thank you so much for joining us and talking to us about this. We appreciate it. I worked in LA, covered news for a long time, and I remember covering the wildfires. You would see, the inmates up there, cutting those fire lines. Talk to us a little bit more about the program that you represent.
Yeah, so first off, I want to say thanks for having me. I also want to send out my thoughts and prayers out to the families who have been impacted by the LA fires, and a big thank you to all the first responders and volunteers who are serving the LA community. So what we do pretty much is 4 ways we do it. So we recruit, we train, we help them get
I didn't meet this guy, Chad.
a job, and then we mentor them throughout their career. And we're so proud that we have our graduates that came out of our program out there in LA right now fighting those fires, and we are proud of them.
And I understand this is personal for you because you helped found this program. Talk about what this did for you in your life and career.
Yeah, so I learned to be a firefighter when I was in prison. I was a part of the California Fire Camps program, which trains, deploys those that are incarcerated to fight wildfires. And since the 1940s, thousands of people have gone through this program, and it really changed my life. It gave me an opportunity for a career path, but it was difficult, coming home and understanding the process of actually becoming a firefighter. And, I consider myself a modern-day Harriet Tubman and wanted to give other folks the opportunity to, pursue a career in firefighting.
Let me ask you this. There is some criticism, some people suggesting that, look, this is the state just taking advantage of cheap labor, right? Like where you can get some of these inmates and they might make a few bucks a day and they're doing this, life-threatening, difficult work. What would you say to them? How would you respond to that criticism?
It is a voluntary program. There's a lot of benefits that come with it. You get better food. You get visits in the park-like setting.
That's it. Like that. So that's the point, which is quite literally the horrific conditions in regular prison is an additional incentive for a lot of these guys to go into this program, because then they get to be treated like human beings in the camp conditions as opposed to the prison conditions. And that to me is like, a very obvious indicator that there's so much more structure. But I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth.
Dormitory living. You get out in the community and folks are eligible to get time off. But for me, it exposed me to that career that I love now. And that's one of the reasons why I started FFRP. So for me, and my experience was kind of a roller coaster mentally, physically, emotionally. But for me, I turned that negative into a positive, and I found a career path that that I love, and I'm just trying to help others find their path too.
Well, Royal Ramey, thank you so much for taking the time. We appreciate you and all the incredible work that you and your colleagues are doing out there, saving lives and property. Thank you.
This is truly when we see the best of humanity is through these times. Tom Vakar has been live at Santa Anita Park in Arcadia for us. Tom, it just must be overwhelming to see the goodness in people's hearts.
I think it's fair to call this a flash mob of friendship and faith. And I want you to just take a look at what's going on. This is remarkable. All this stuff has been donated. It continues to pour in. And now that the sun is up, people are coming, but you're seeing as many right now volunteers as you are seeing people.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I was talking about when I said that, like, there's a lot of good in humanity. Like, people talk about the looting and whatnot and really unnecessarily hyper-focus on that. And it's very frustrating when, by and large, this is what people are doing. By and large, across the board, most people want to lend a helping hand. They understand that food and visits, clothes for the wealthy. Yes, you're right, dude. All of those like middle-class Altadena, all those middle-class Altadena families, dude. I don't know why people think that like wealthy people are going to go to this pile to get other people's used clothes. Like, what's wrong with you? No, these are people who need it, okay? Just think, please, think before you speak, okay? Think before you speak. You look at like an incredibly wholesome situation and immediately go, how can I ruin the vibes here? Like, why? It's just like, in many respects, is the same exact mentality of like looking at ash, looking at like all the ash, all the rubble, and thinking, oh, they're going to loot this stuff, man. We got to start shooting looters. Like, it's just mentality that people have. And I think the internet has greatly worsened the sentiment. People just straight up have lost their capacity to engage in collective action and lost the capacity to see others as human beings and they just only see them through the cynical lens where everyone is out to get me. Everyone's out to get others. And the internet makes it certainly a lot worse. The less we see our fellow man out in the real world, the more we spend time online, the more our interactions are relegated to the internet, the worse we become, the more cynical we become, the more isolated we become, and the more anti-human we become. It's crazy. And people see it as like a point of pride almost to like constantly seek out the worst possible framing of situations. Wow, what a not a vice, sorry. They see it as a virtue. Donate lightly used to new items. Some people have been donating dirty clothing and trash to clear out their homes. Yeah.
That are actually coming to get these things. This is a remarkable ad hoc, let's just do it because it's the right thing to do kind of thing. And all of this clothing, remember, if you left and you had only the clothes on your back, this is something really critical. And the other thing that you have to realize is that,
like, these are people who lost everything. They lost all their clothes in the fire. They lost their home. They lost their most prized possessions that have tremendous impact in their lives. And now they're just like looking to recover, looking to survive, looking to start anew. And you're over here being like, nah, a middle-class person's getting shoes? Fuck that. Not on my watch, dude.
this is something that a lot of people who are coming to were renters. And why I bring that up is yesterday there was a similar distribution at a park in Pasadena.
They should wear the same clothes for the next month. Yeah, as they battle homelessness.
But I talked to a gentleman there who lost his house in Altadena, and he talked about something really important, and that is the folks that are renters. Listen to this. I know this is hard.
Reality, we've all been kind of, okay, live with it. It is what it is. It's happened. Be real about it. This is inspiring. The tears you see are of gratitude for people volunteering out of the kindness of their own hearts.
Is it true that some of the out-of-state fire trucks weren't able to help because they had to wait for emissions testing that weren't open on the weekends? I'm gonna die. No. Okay. No, it's not true. It was fake on Twitter. It went viral on Twitter. No. And not only was it untrue, but like the Oregon Firefighters Twitter account had already posted about how their engines were working in the state of California hours before that Twitter, this random Twitter account decided, lol, California emissions testing. No, sorry for getting aggressive with you, chatter. I'm not mad at you. I'm just so mad at the way that communication spreads, misinformation spreads. And it literally doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all because it's so much, because it corresponds to prior biases that people have about like, lol, California, lol. Yeah, you are the media now. Parker Cardwell is the guy who said at 3:26 p.m., okay, 4 hours after, to the dot, 4 hours after the Oregon State Fire Marshal had said, Oregon strike teams arrived Thursday and are assigned to the Palisades Fire. 11 of the teams began their assignments this a.m. Teams are motivated, committed, and excited to get out on the line and help where they are needed. 4 hours after that, Parker was like, I just heard from my brother, a firefighter in Central Oregon. The 60 fire trucks stay sent to support the LA fires are being held up in Sacramento for emissions testing. They likely won't pass inspection and won't be able to help. What a joke. And it got highlighted by the CEO of Twitter, Linda Yaccarino. Like, it's crazy to me that the Oregon State Fire Marshal has to send out information about, like, in a crisis moment, the Oregon State Fire Marshal has to send out a message to whoever will listen, and no one will listen because there's only 555 likes because this is a random tiny account. It just blows my mind the tendency that people have where they are infinitely more interested in spreading untruths than they are in exercising a little bit of critical thinking.
Some people are born under certain circumstances, like you said, or like the young lady said, some people start ahead in the race.
Young lady.
And
Caroline's also 33.
I I'm still young, man. Come on, man. So some people's circumstances.
I literally take back everything I just said. I take back everything I said.
I'm sure there are exceptions, but I just don't like acting like these homes are in very wealthy areas. It doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. Palisades and Malibu still have places where people have had their homes for many, many decades at this point. So not every single person is wealthy there either. But yes, Palisades and Malibu have some of the most expensive real estate. Okay. Some of the most expensive real estate in Los Angeles. Altadena, on the other hand, another area of impact, is not an expensive real estate marketplace. Okay. It's still a horrible situation. You don't know what people's background is. You don't know what they do on their day-to-day basis. Like, I just don't understand how you're pocket watching victims of a natural disaster. Like, it blows my mind. Bro is from Bel Air. No, I am not. I am not from Bel Air.
Fuck him. Okay. If Hasan has 10,000 haters, I'm one of them. If he has 100 haters, I'm one of them.
You are from Bel Air? Okay, I'm from Bel Air. I lied.
You know, some people are
middle class or not, if you're in a country that has its support system stripped bare, then you are essentially one major crisis away from homelessness. That's going to be the case for many of these families. Yeah. California is home to the poorest and richest people. They literally live within blocks of each other sometimes. I don't know why that's so hard to understand for chatters. Yeah. I promise you that the folks in Altadena and surrounding area are not wealthy. Even if folks own their homes, most are folks who bought years ago and have already been consistently priced out of their homes. Those left now have been permanently pushed out and will most likely not be able to buy again in the area they lived in. Exactly. It's going to be an endless struggle to try to rebuild their houses in the same neighborhood that they lived in their whole lives now, in the land that they own, as all of these predatory, vulturous private equity firms try to seize as much of that land as possible to develop, I don't know, luxury high-rise condominiums or something, I don't know, that they can use as a tax break down the line as they can offset their other costs. Yeah, what causes you to want to live in LA? I love Los Angeles, man. I really do. There's a lot that sucks here, but you know, I like it. That's it. It's going to be an endless struggle where these people are now going to, one, fight back against the vulturous and predatory private equity. They're going to have to fight back against their insurance companies that are going to work tirelessly around the clock to deny their claims that they paid for with their insurance. That is, if they are fortunate enough to not have their fire insurance canceled months before this wildfire took place without them even recognizing it. But the real looting starts now, and it's not like random broke people that are looking to steal a TV in the crisis. But just pay attention. Pay attention to how normalized and streamlined that process is. That process of looting that is infinitely more impactful, has a significantly higher dollar value. That process of looting is systematized. That process of looting, not dissimilar to the universal healthcare coverage that we talked about in the aftermath of Brian Thompson's assassination, allegedly in the hands of Luigi Mangione, allegedly. That kind of pain, no matter how universalized it is in a country like the United States of America that impacts virtually every single family at a certain point in their lives, that kind of violence, that kind of murder is socialized. People don't see it in the same way that they see a random mask-wearing thug who's going to come into your neighborhood in a scooter, okay? Although, that kind of theft is far more consequential. And the dollar values that are stolen from the public in their weakest moments is far larger. This TikTok pissed me off about the looting. Yeah, I saw this. It's got 2.2 million views since the last time I checked it. Last time I looked at it, it had 1.6 million. This guy's out of his mind. He doesn't even live in Los Angeles. He's talking about like, yeah, ladies, protect your own. It's got 2.2 million likes, dude.
This is magical.
It is magical, and he pointed out to me something. He says, you know, we have insurance. We're in a hotel. We're going to be okay, as difficult as it is for him to have lost his house. But he says, you know, the renters, that's a whole different thing. Many of them have nothing, and they've left with nothing, and they have nothing to go back to. So as a result, something like this is a real ray of hope. And as the sun comes up, those rays of hope are shining on this, and this will
Chuck Dies, thank you for the 25 gift this
last until Wednesday here, and as a result of that, there are people that are going to be able to do that. And yes, it won't be just the victims of Altadena, but there's a lot of need all over California, to say the least, in the country, and people are going to come here and they're going to be able to get a little bit of a leg up, and I think that that's really important. And that's all for now, but it's really amazing to see. Back to you.
Oh yeah, thank you, Tom. Appreciate you very much.